Okay, so this little mini lesson is going to focus on this informational text. And this is the informational text from Illuminate Interim 1 of this year, but you can use the strategies that I talk about here on any informational text that you read. And there will be informational text, either historical or speeches or articles like this on MCAS and on Illuminate in January. So it's really important that we take a look at the title. And when you're reading, you can highlight on Illuminate and on MCAS to keep track of things that you notice as you annotate online. But this gives us a sense of what this is about. So it is about the justice system. Is it about forgiveness, or is it about hardcore criminalization? And this is also really important to read. Definitely take a look at this even before you read the questions. It's a little bit different than the literature reading, where we just focused on the questions first. What I like to do first or after you read is go back and think about the transition words, and think about words that are separated or phrases that are separated with dashes, like right here, because dashes signal to us that there's something really important, that this idea in this sentence with the dash is super important, or what follows it is super important. So they've done a lot of research, and you're going to find that their results are probably talked about when they reference the word research. So I'm also looking at these big headers, and I can infer that everything below that header is about the justice system, how it is currently right now, because it's in the present. And I'm just going to make a note to myself really before I even begin reading. This isn't really as clear as an essay where there's a topic sentence and that's the main idea of the paragraph, and then they go in with evidence and they finish with a nice, neat conclusion. This isn't written like that, and so I just want to note that in my mind as I read. They begin not with a thesis, but they begin with a whole other story about, or historical event they use as an example to kind of kick off their position. We also want to know what the position is of the article. So if it's taking a stance, if it's taking a side, what is the article's belief? And then is that article's belief kind of like pro, positive, or con, negative, the issue, against the issue? And that's important to note as well. Remember, it's not what you believe is pro, positive, or con, negative. It's what the article states from the evidence that you want to label in your answers, in your questions, as positive or negative. The next thing that we're going to do, and again, I'm noticing dashes, so I'm going to pay special attention to the information because this is emphasized and it's meant to be set apart. And so I'm going to highlight when I'm on Illuminate. I can't do it here, but I'm going to highlight in a certain color everything that I see that's set apart by dashes, and really read that sentence very carefully. I'm also going to look for transition words. So for here, I see this stand out to me. Results in two important consequences. So I definitely want to go back to that, because remember, their research, this is the data, this is the information, and now they're labeling a result for us. One other thing, again, a lot of dashes in this one. Here's a transition in another. So I want to highlight that because that's giving me additional evidence and even more. And then we really get into some very clear transitions. These are very important to highlight. First, after, more often than not. Those are signals that they're building results. They're finding their evidence, and they're explaining it. This finding, and so we always want it, the findings. Thus, So we're getting into some um, uh, outcomes here that they discuss that's really important to the story or to the article. Again, here, reconciliation. This is another big heading we want to pay attention to. It is signifying what this article is about, the central idea or main point, and you will have a central idea or main point question. So I want to focus again on the prefixes. Those are the beginning parts of the word. I really want you to take a look at the videos on Google Classroom. They're funny or fun videos on prefixes, and really start to memorize that like D and dis are not or negative prefixes. So I'm thinking, where have I read that before at the beginning of a word? So rework, regroup, revise. It's going back to, it's doing again. So even if I don't know what this is, conciliation or concile, I can guess that it's going back to something and redoing something. And if I think about, okay, what would they be going back to in the justice system and redoing? And if the justice system isn't fair to criminals or victims right now, how could we redo the justice system? So that to me says that they're a proponent or they're for redoing the justice system. So here they explain their data. And look, this is their position. It's positive. It offers hope. So this is important for me to note. Again, I'm not reading closely when I do this scoping or skimming. I'm just noticing the structure, how it's organized in the article, the main topics. I'm also noticing the references to research, and I'm noticing the transition words. And I'm noticing punctuation that sets these apart. So I wanted to point out one more thing. They give an example right here, essentially. So this is another word. If something is essential, it's importantly. It's signifying the end or the conclusion or their thesis. Same thing for here, all together, these studies show. So here, or suggest. So, and then again, standing apart some information, setting that apart with the dashes. We have finally some more dashes, so there's a lot of important phrases, and then finally in doing so, and that's another transition for as a result. I think a lot of this informational text it's a different challenge than the literature, because often there's more reasoning that you have to figure out between the four answer choices. And the only way to do that is to think, is this in the text? And so, for instance, this one right here, the central idea, okay, a lot of these will be in the text. A lot of sentences will be exactly as they're written in the text. But you have to go back to the question. And the question is asking, is it the central idea? Is it the main point for this particular question? So this might be in part of the text and show a piece of the text, but only one of these is an example of the central idea, the main part of the text. This is a main purpose question, very similar to central idea, except this is asking you, and go back to our speech writing unit, same thing. That's why we did the speech writing unit first. This is asking you the author's main purpose. What was the why? What is the reason that this article was written? You will find both central idea questions and author's main purpose questions on the on both tests. And this is your two-part question, right? So this is asking which statement best supports the main idea, what they're saying about the justice system in the text. Okay. All right, so that's all for today, and good luck.